It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, The Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. It is that time once again. We'll be talking with Blake Sloan coming up in mere seconds. But right now, we want to give you some contact information. Over the next 30 minutes, you'll hear some great stuff. And if you want to know more about that stuff, you can call Blake at his office at Sloan Realty Group. The phone number is 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or go online to blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com. We'll repeat that contact information a lot over the next 30 minutes in case you didn't get it this time. Let's go ahead and start the show, though. Here's Blake Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. Awesome show. Tons of great information. I mean, it's like just coming from every direction right now with the chaos of the marketplace, what's happening here locally, what's happening nationally. We got tons and tons of news. We're on the 48th straight week of the Corona and COVID edition about what's happening here in our marketplace. It's been all, we had downs, we've had ups. So we're 48 weeks for 2 weeks to slow the spread in regards to how this whole thing comes down. But great news for real estate in Myrtle Beach. We'll talk about that today. That aspect. The real estate market is borderline out of control. It's insane. And actually, one of my friends, I'm going to tell a story today on the show, liken it to being drunk at a party. And at the party, you keep drinking and drinking. Right now, you feel a little buzzed, but a few more drinks, you end up in the ditch, passed out. Like, that's kind of where the real estate market's at. So it's like, it's insane. We'll talk about why I say that in the data, just because at some level, it's not sustainable. What we're seeing, not this year, we have a mastermind. I have a mastermind group of top agents across the country that I share ideas with. It's exclusive to certain areas, certain levels of production. And everybody's like, man, even in like Wisconsin, you're seeing craziness. And so we actually, on top of that, have one of the hottest markets in the country. And so we'll talk about that as well. One of the things that I was, actually reading some information from a big mortgage broker blog this morning. It talked about 2021 being the year that more second homes have been sold than any time in history. And guess where a perfect place to be for a second home is? You got it, Myrtle Beach, right? And so people are buying second homes right now at 10% down. And we're right in the middle of this chaos. And so I'm going to keep you updated because you need to make good decisions, right? As a buyer, as a seller, whatever you are in that marketplace. We'll talk about that in that aspect. Again, we have the brand new market numbers in. They're huge. They're great numbers. We are in an inventory crisis, the absolute lowest inventory we've seen on history from being able to be tracked, not just here locally, but also on a national level. We have a couple of things too. Some amazing success stories that we're seeing. Also a couple of horror stories. We're seeing two challenges right now. Number one, agents are mispricing properties because they're not understanding the pace of the market. And two, the agent is not good enough to help articulate value to the appraiser. So the appraiser comes in, does a property appraisal, doesn't really get, I won't say influence, but given the details of specifically why that house is worth what it is. Here's specific comps, right? Because you have all these appraisers that are super busy. They're trying to pump it out. And we're seeing that cost our client $10,000, $15,000 in many cases. And also, we're seeing some horror stories right now with some local builders. Local builder, if you're a local builder, I need to listen to this. We're seeing this absolutely horrendous market right now and horrendous follow-up with these buyers coming in town. We had an example of that this week. I had on last week's show, did not have enough chance to talk about. We'll talk about that as well. But overall, tons of great news. Look at how many properties went under contract last 7 days. It was actually very similar to the same number that went under contract last summer. And so we're seeing our spring and summer numbers right now in early 2021. We'll talk about that in the show today as well.
All right. Well, there's a ton to get to. Get that out of there. But anyway, there's a ton to get to throughout this course of the show. And if you're just tuning in for the very first time and you don't realize who you're listening to somebody who's been called the real estate wizard here on the Grand Strand, been featured in Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, Realtor magazine, other national publications. On television, maybe you've seen him with NBC, maybe on Fox and Friends with the morning show. You've heard the personal endorsements here from Glenn Beck, from Sean Hannity, from Barbara Corcoran, Gary LaVox, and others. Put them all together, it's obviously unprecedented. Now, also, Blake Sloan has come up with his own trademark systems for home sellers and home buyers. Can't give you all the secrets on the air here because, well, they're trademarked, but more than happy to tell you the most important part of it.
Yes, and this is like, man, I say this is my passion and the why behind we do this show, and like that was important, right? It was super important for all those years. I think we're coming to 10 years doing this, maybe more. But the reality is it's even more important right now because every little thing that your agent does makes or breaks how much money you get. And so here's what I find mistaken, especially, mid to high end sellers make this huge mistake of thinking that agents are the same. That reality could not be further from the truth. It's just like any doctor, any lawyer, or if you're charged with a crime you did not commit, the last thing you want to do is represent yourself or have someone who's a part-time attorney who doesn't really specialize in that type of law represent you, right? Or obviously you're not going to try to treat yourself on WebMD or just go to some random family doctor if it's something specific and it's life or death. And so it's the same situation though when you're dealing with your largest asset or one of your largest assets, depending on who you are. And so it matters who you use. And why is that? In selling a property, there's just so many variables. In selling a property, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one's handled correctly, guess what that does? Saves you money, puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. Anything's handled incorrectly, aka they drop the ball at any point, that costs you your hard-earned equity, and it also, in some cases, keeps your property from selling. And so one of the things that we've run into is that can be anything from how the agent does pricing strategy, their marketing specifically, what are the quality of the photos, right? What is the order of the photos? There's a psychological program and a way that we have developed that you order your photos because buyers search by elimination. And so unless you're selling 500 plus homes a year like we do, basically you're not really going to run into that same exact thing. And so the reality is there's a psychological order. You want first exterior, second largest room in the house, third, one of the second biggest largest, your living room, master bedroom, kitchen, all those aspects there, they got to be done right. They got to be done professionally, right? On top of that, there's so many aspects. Once a property goes under contract, how is it handled? How is it negotiated? Unfortunately, in our MLS, the average agent sells roughly 4 homes a year. There's not a whole lot of money to eat with, much less spend in marketing for them. And on top of that, they're selling 4 houses a year. Guess what happens to you when you're the homeowner that you're negotiating? They're going to throw you under the bus in 2 seconds because they're just trying to get a deal done so they can survive. How do I know that? Well, I see it in the business every single day. And so what we did, and we really wanted to say, how do we give our clients a huge competitive advantage? And so we developed a system that's proven repeatable that creates maximum leverage at every single point. And so we create leverage at point 1, leverage at point 2. When you stack those up like dominoes, at the end of 118 of them, there's a massive gap between us and everyone else. And anyone we sit down with and show them literally line by line, it blows their mind. It's called the guaranteed sold system. The only proven system sells twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. I designed it, like Dave mentioned. We licensed it to other agents, other parts of the country. It's exclusive to us. But right now it matters because the market is just so hot and you can mess up one little thing. In 2 of our success stories today, we talked about 2 of our sellers. We got them way more money than they thought they could actually get. In one case, we got them $15,000 than she thought she could get for her property. And thankfully, she called us because most agents will just take that advice, take whatever number you give them, put it on the market, and let it roll. And unfortunately, that's how you leave hard-earned equity of yours on the table. And so on the flip side, guess what? 100 plus variables on the buyer side. And so that same situation we designed a system, proven repeatable, gives maximum leverage to our clients. It's called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. It gets priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, and the absolute best negotiation. And so with that, both of those do one thing. They give you a huge competitive advantage. So if you've been listening for a while, if you have a friend, a relative, or anybody, they owe it to themselves to at least see the system because it's what's helped rank us in the top 1/2 of 1% in North America because we get our clients results while most agents just put their listing in MLS and just praying that someone else brings in buyers. So if you want to know more about that, reach out, call me, call my office, 843-808-SOLD.
All right, sounds good. We got a lot of show to get to, and we'll get to it in just a second here. Coming up in just 1 minute, we'll get an update on what the real estate market is doing, and as you heard Blake said, it's bonkers. In addition to that, we'll see what the rates are looking like this week as well. Very important information. That's all coming up part of the show. If you want to get in touch with Blake, you can give him a call at his office at Sloan Realty Group, 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or go online to blakesloan.com.
Hey, if you're in the market to make the most money for your home, Sean Hannity here with agent with a marketing strategy that creates the most demand. Bottom line, you need a partner willing to put their own money on the line for you. In Myrtle Beach, I would hire Blake Sloan. His international marketing creates so much demand that if your home doesn't sell at a price and deadline you agree to, Blake will buy it. Partner with the agent I trust. Go online or call and get your home sold.
It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Coming up in just a minute, we'll see what the rates are looking like this week. First of all, we'll see what the market is looking like. I know you said it's just bananas right now, and I guess it's just still staying like that.
Absolute insanity. I mean, it's insane, and I, it's different here than a lot of other areas, and there's so many just different things driving that. We're seeing this across the country. Obviously, money's super cheap. Government's printing, trillions of dollars put into the economy here, but the reality is, we have a kind of a perfect storm because there's so many people leaving metropolitan areas because of COVID. And one of the things that I was really studying this week of like what's happening. And so that's why I was looking to the mortgage broker side of second homes. So about second home market, there's going to be more second homes sold in 2021 than in any time in history. Obviously it has to do with financing, but they talked about the psychological effect of people who've been locked down, where they're at. They feel claustrophobic, they feel unhappy. And so guess what they're trying to do? They're literally escaping. I noticed that too. When we had people who were escaping lockdowns last year, they were literally sleeping in their cars and they couldn't get hotels here. And so I told that story before, but we still have that same sentiment with people. They're just trying to get escape. They feel unhappy, right? They feel locked down. They can't go to their restaurants. And so that's just something we're seeing a perfect storm here where people are making decisions differently now in how they see life and how they're retiring early. And money's obviously super cheap, but that's something we'll talk about here in a second where what I was talking about, I guess I can just read it now. It's interesting. It's funny. So we have this mastermind group. And one of the articles that came, and I'll share this and thing is just, it's MSN article came out and it just talks about overall home prices. And it says, the title of the whole thing is U.S. home prices rose 15% in the fourth quarter. And it was just came out 13 hours ago. And it just talks about how the median sale price rose 14.9% to 315,000 in the fourth quarter. Where it just talks about how all the metropolitan areas, 88% of metro areas saw double-digit price increases. Huge numbers, right? And so that's just something we'll talk about later in the show. But one of the things here my buddies talked about, the thing that's funny is his name is Jeff Chubb, he's in Boston, and he said, here's the deal. He said, the best way I can describe this, it's like being at a party. You've been steadily drinking for a couple hours and you're pretty drunk, but knocking on the blackout phase door, right? So he talks about you've been drinking, but you're on the blackout phase door, which, follows out with the next phase, which is usually passed out in a ditch, right? Having thrown up over yourself. And so it's so funny to talk about because he said, we are now entering the blackout phase, right? And it's kind of interesting to think about how sustainable is this? And so if I'm a home seller, I'm thinking about that, like, man, how long do you ride it? Because anybody went through 2008, very difficult. It's a different market. I've been telling everybody about this, right? It's much more sustainable. We had a lot of subprime mortgages, a lot more speculation back then. Now we're seeing, at least Myrtle Beach, from my experience, is people who are owner occupants who are relocating or buying second homes, most of which we're seeing are relocating, not buying second homes. But I thought it was interesting. Like, look, this is not sustainable. And we talked about in our group, there's people from Wisconsin. I got Seattle. I got all over the Northeast, Florida, North Carolina in my group. And we were just talking about, and one of the guys here from Washington State said, look, it's completely out of control in our market. And you're seeing the same thing, right? We're seeing people relocate from some super metropolitan areas out to more areas that aren't. And so right now is the perfect time to take advantage of that. But on the flip side, I do want to warn everyone, I'm not sure how long this is sustainable, right? From an inventory standpoint, from a pricing standpoint, from a market standpoint. And so if you've been thinking about cashing out, right, or thinking about making that move to something that's more long-term for you, you definitely want to consider that and reach out to me so you can at least analyze, like, what are my options right now? What's happening? Because it's super hot. And one of the things here from a Myrtle Beach area, so I talk about this all the time. Since COVID started, we start tracking real-time data on a higher level. So before, we'd always do real-time data of what closed currently in the current month and last month. But the problem with that is that doesn't tell you who's looking at houses right now, right? Because if it closed right now, it went under contract 30 to 60 days prior. And so we track right now real-time the last 7 days. So the last 7 days, how many properties went under contract? As new buyers who came, made an offer to a seller accepted it. And so right now, 794 went under contract the last 7 days, which is unbelievable. The peak of last year, we saw 800s. It pushed close to 900 at the absolute top, but when it was the downside, right after the lockdown, there's 300 or 400 a week, right? And so in February, right now, we're seeing almost 800 properties a week in our little, MSA service area here for $218,185,986 worth of real estate when under contract. Now, here's the crazy thing. You're seeing prices massively go up. Like in the last 7 days, homes over $1 million when under contract was 16 homes over $1 million when under contract up to $3 million. And so Grand Dunes, Deborah, we just closed one last week for $1.5 million in Grand Dunes. Guess what? Very wealthy buyer from out of town. Our internet reach is what helped capture that. Boom, we match it up. Barrett and my team did a very good job with that. And so we have a lot of buyers we're getting all over the country right now, even a lot of international buyers who are coming here and parking cash here, parking money. We've seen a lot of people too who are also parking, cash here because it's a very affordable, and they're kind of hedging against inflation a little bit when you talk about the aspect of putting that into real estate as that rises up. And so that's something to kind of consider too, but we're really deep in that with our clients. And so looking at last month's numbers for anyone that missed last week's show, I'll dig into that. The sales out of control, right? So last month, sales for single family resale homes was up 17.8%, which is not necessarily huge, but there's a challenge with inventory. If you look at the last quarter, so the last 3 months, it was up 24.5% in regards to the amount of homes sold versus the same 3 months last year. And so that's just something to kind of look at as well. Prices, huge, right? Right now for median price up 18.8% at $274,500. That's for the whole Grand Strand, Horry, Georgetown counties into Southern North Carolina as well. For average sale price up 12.9% at $345,097. That's just something to kind of think about there. As well. Now, here's the kicker, right? Here's the most important number, the shocker, whatever we've seen. Inventory. We're crisis level inventory right now at 62.8% decrease from the same time last year. Right now, there's 1.6 homes, 1.6 months of inventory. What's that mean? Basically, it means there's less than half the homes available right now there was last year. And so, for example, we got a new website for our Sloan Realty Group team in September, October. At that time, there's 4,900 listings. Right now, there's 1,900. And that includes, that's not homes. That includes everything, like commercial, residential, condos, even some rentals and stuff. And so that's everything. And so right now, there's just so few properties available. It is driving prices up. It can get to the point, though, where I mentioned this months and months ago. I'm seeing some of my friends across the country. In these areas where there's less than 1 month, there becomes a stalemate. They call it buyer fatigue, where people won't sell because they can't find anything to buy, and vice versa. So we've solved that with our Guaranteed We Buy It program. We'll help people to help make sure you can find something you buy. We've been very, very good at negotiating for our clients. We just did one this week. They stayed in the property for 30 days afterwards so they can complete their new construction. And so we've been getting very creative, but you need someone who's in this business all day, every day, who can guide you. And that's something that our team is very, very good at, because high-level training, we do a ton of transactions. We sell a house every 16 hours. And so right now, it's super, super crazy. Now, one of the key numbers, though, to look at is buyer traffic, right? What's the buyer traffic looking like monthly? Right now, the buyer traffic is up 37.3%. That's a little bit not alarming, but it's the number I want to watch, because last month's numbers and December's numbers, it was up 80%. And so we've seen the buyer traffic drop down from an 80% increase down to a 30% increase, specifically 37.3%. That means there probably a lot of people have bought already, right? There's just less buyers who are relocating because a lot of them have already made that move. But the one thing that I told my team this week, we're seeing the spring market come early. Why is that? Well, obviously there's pain, right? People are frustrated. They've been locked down for months. They can't eat outside. They can't eat inside of restaurants. There's all these things that we're seeing, and they're tired of it. So now they're making that move earlier simply because there's pain, right? And so people move away from pain towards pleasure. And in that case, for many people, what we're seeing is, guess what that place is? Myrtle Beach. It's affordable. We just talked to a guy yesterday. I audit the calls and make sure that, my team's handling the calls right. And this guy would listen to the call in. And he was just so surprised at how much more he could afford here based on the price of taxes. And so he was thinking initially a $400,000 house, but he looked at the price of taxes versus where he was in Illinois. He could push up to $600,000 based on his budget. And so that's what a lot of people are seeing right now as they're getting tired of the taxes and lockdown. So that's just interesting numbers to look at for you guys to think about. Really quick into condos. That's something that we've seen overall. Condo sales in regards to sales up 26%. That's some of the big news too we're seeing, where so many homeowners who, looking at a better word, sat on the sidelines for too long. They now are realizing that they are priced out of the market. And so what we're having to do for a lot of them is now transition them to a condo or a townhome or something because it's simply more affordable to them, especially on a fixed income or retirement. And so that's one thing to think about. If you've been thinking about making that move in the buy side, you want to keep that in consideration because prices have continued to rise. A lot of people are getting pushed out of what they thought was affordable. Where usually, hey, I want to get a home, $200,000. You're not really finding that a lot of times close to the ocean or anywhere, in the city of Myrtle Beach or even parts of Surfside or Myrtle Beach. And so right now, bottom line, the market is very dynamic. I don't want to beat that up too much, but it matters on zip code, specific neighborhood, and we can help guide you through all that as well. Average sale price for condos up 14.3% last month at 160 even. Great news there. Here's the deal. Average sale price for condos, huge, 19.4% increase last month in condos at 200,459. And so that's great news for condos overall. They're seeing that jump because simply a lot of those homes, the buyers are looking at homes are now moving to condos, and we're seeing that happen a lot across our teams. And so also condo inventory, the other story. The second most shocking number is also down. Inventory for condos is down 38.8%, right behind homes down 60+%. And so if you're thinking about selling, we need inventory more than anything, right? Also, a PSA, like I mentioned last week, anybody friend, relative, aunt, uncle, right? You like them, you don't like them. They're thinking about selling. I need you to do me a favor and say, look, you got to call my friend Blake Sloan. He has international reach. We have buyers from all across the country looking to pay cash here right now and buy at premium prices. Why is that? Well, they're saving on taxes. They're saving on the affordability here. And we're very, very well tapped into that. So if you want to know more about that, reach out, call my office. One thing really quick too that's driving this is mortgage rates. Mortgage rates right now, 2.83%, staying pretty steady. Last week is 2.84%. And so it hasn't trended up too much, which is great news. A 15-year fixed rate right now, 2.37%. An FHA loan, 2.30%. A jumbo loan right now, super dirt cheap, 3.27%. And a 5-year adjust rate mortgage right now is 2.25%. And so the bottom line is it's hot. It's crazy. I'm not sure how sustainable it will be. I'm not sure when the market's going to be passed out in the ditch, but we are almost to the blackout phase. And so if you're thinking about taking that or cashing out on something, reach out to me. Let's at least analyze your situation. I'll give you the advice. And a lot of times we tell people, hey, look, it may make sense for you not to sell. And we don't mind doing that because we've been here for a long time. And we plan on being here for a long time. We'll make sure that we advise you with character and caution for sure.
Buyers alert, and we have some amazing success stories you got to stick around for as well. Get in touch with Blake at his office at 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or go online to blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com. Hey, Myrtle Beach, it's Gary LeBach, lead singer of Rascal Flash.
I'm a little long on time, right? What are we looking at?
When I'm moving on, won the award for ACM Song of the Year.
Like 6 minutes or something?
Just about 4 minutes.
4, okay, cool. That's fine. We'll do hot buyers and success story.
If you're moving on, you want a real estate agent who will make selling your home easy and stress-free. An agent who's willing to let you out of the contract if you're not happy with their service. That's why in Myrtle Beach, I can tell you that Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group markets your home on a whole different level. Now listen, Blake is so confident in his ability to sell your home quickly and for more money that he guarantees to sell it or he'll buy it himself. If you're moving on, trust Blake to provide your family a stress-free home sale experience. Find Blake Sloan online at blakesloan.com, or you can call him at 843-808-SOLD. Start packing. It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Time right now for your hot buyers alert. These are amazingly hot. Blake and his team working with a ridiculous amount of home buyers who are looking for homes in the Myrtle Beach area, anywhere from $150,000 to $3.5 million. As you heard Blake say earlier, inventory is at a premium. So if you were even thinking of selling, contact Blake immediately at 843-808-SOLD. How many people are looking? According to his website right now, he's got more than 60,000 active home buyers. These are people who are looking on a regular basis, not just once a month, but they're looking several times a day to make sure that they're the first person to see every brand new listing that gets put up on your website.
It's crazy, man. Like right now, and this is like I think it's important. Like they mentioned, these are real username, password account that they're from all over the country. And why is that? Because I outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that for our home sellers, I give you a huge advantage because I'm marketing for these buyers before you ever reach out and call me. And so you've been listening for a while. And like, what makes you different? We have 60,000 plus active real people. These aren't just hits. Like right now, I got Michael Savitsky from Boynton Beach. I can't say it. I say Boynton Boynton Beach, Florida. I got Brandon from Myrtle's Inlet. And the guy Michael up top, like he's been 124 visits, looked at 115 properties, and he's on the site searching right now. I got Donna Power from Bridgeport, Connecticut. I got Janet from Charlottesville, Virginia. I got Pam from Pickens, South Carolina. I got Brent from Zanesville, Ohio. I got Stan from Newington, Connecticut. I got Susan from Newborough, New York. And the reason I share those is because they're from all over, right? We have a huge reach. And so that's what gives you a huge competitive advantage. But more importantly, we need inventory. And so if you're thinking about selling, I hate to beat that dead horse, but it's important because you need, and your friends need, and your family needs someone who has buyers. Don't have someone who just waits and puts up a sign, you know. And we just had that happen recently. We had a great listener, had a huge horse farm, and it was out in Longs, I think. And we came in, showed them we couldn't. They're going through a divorce situation, which we specialize in. We're so good at that. I've been doing this for years, and I feel like we're very good at making sure both parties work together to get the most amount of money. But we couldn't meet with the husband. And so we met with the wife, showed her everything. She loved it, was blown away. And we literally just closed another horse farm, horse farm, but basically horse property. And the reality is, didn't get to tell the husband. The husband ended up listening with a friend. She tells us she's kind of upset about it. Look up, they had sold 6 homes ever in history. Right? History. Like, how are you going to market a giant horse property on acreage to people across the country, right? It's just not possible. And so the reality is, don't make that mistake. Reach out to us no more. Really quick, some amazing success stories. Super proud of Adam and Angela decided they want to sell their home in Conway, travel the U.S. in their RV. Thankfully, Adam heard all the success stories about our team on this station, knew exactly who to call first. We met with Adam, showed him exactly how to get their home sold ASAP. And here's the coolest part. For more money they thought they could get, we designed a custom marketing plan, launched a global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual walkthrough. Within 2 days, had 3 offers on Adam and Angela's property, getting over $5,000 over asking price. Here's the cool part. We have $15,000 more than they thought they'd get for their home. And so don't make a mistake, right? Call us first because we got $15,000 more for them in their pocket. Also, Jerry had a vacation home in the area, very high end. She didn't get to use it because her husband passed away 2 years ago. Family in North Carolina. She wanted to sell her home and take the money and buy something closer to her friends. The cool part is her friend who's listening to the show, who also bought with us, referred her. We came in, got her property sold for top dollar and $5,000 more than she thought she could get. And so that's a high-end home, sold instantly, $5,000 more than she thought she could get, higher than anything else in the area. So if you want to know more, reach out, call me for sure, 843-808-SOLD.
All right. That 30 minutes went quickly.
Yes, it did, man.
So much information to cram in 30 minutes. If you want to get in touch with Blake and find out more about what you've been hearing, I suggest you do. Give them a call at Sloan Realty Group, 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or go online to BlakeSloan.com, BlakeSloan.com. Blake, great show. Do it again next week.
Yes, sir. I'll be here.
Sounds good. It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Selling your home doesn't have to be filled with drama or having to pay hidden fees. And your friend Sean Hannity here to tell you, as an active investor, I firmly believe in working with the smartest local agents who sell homes in high volume. Prepare your home to create the most demand when it does go on the market to sell for the highest price. And don't fill your life with drama while you wait for your home to sell.